Good evening, bad girls. Welcome to this edition of today's sneak peek. And we are blessed to have our own district missionary, Michelle Timmons, with us tonight. And she's joining us for the She Speaks series. But before we get into her, just in case you're new here, I just wanted to let you know what Bad Girls is all about. BAD is an acronym that stands for B because we're boldly walking into the purpose and the calling that God has on our lives. And we're doing it A as our authentic selves, fearlessly flawed yet favored to impact the lives of those around us for the kingdom of heaven. And by doing that, it causes us to be a little bit disruptive to the plots, plans, and schemes of the enemy. So we are bold, we are authentic, and we are disruptive girls for Christ. And guess what? It's a movement, baby. Welcome to the movement. And welcome, District Missionary Timmons. It's so good to see you tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about being here on this evening.
And so I want you to introduce yourself to the bad girls.
All right, great. Well, hey, bad girls. Yes, I am bold and often disruptive, but in a good way, in a good way. So I'm excited about being here on tonight. My name is Michelle Timmons, born and raised in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Was a young girl just growing up, excited about Jesus. My mother would drop me off at the Holy Trinity Church of God in Christ. And I would stay there as my siblings would go down to Sandy's candy store and take their offering and spend it. And I'd tell on them. But I thank God I've loved the Lord as long as I can remember. At 12 years old, I was the Sunday school secretary and also taught Sunday school. So I've been loving Jesus and teaching his word all of my life. I am a mother of three. I have three beautiful adult children, Shakira, Elijah, and Hannah. I was previously married. I was a pastor's wife. I had the opportunity and pleasure of pastoring a church right there in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, the Shekinah Glory Church of God in Christ. That was a season of my life, and I thank God for it. Learned lots and lots of lessons, and it allowed me to be even bolder. I ended up having to pastor that church for a short time, and currently, I'm serving at the Carter Memorial Church of God in Christ, where I serve in several capacities, doing several different things. But my true honor and pleasure is taking care of the Mother's Care Ministry, the mothers. I love the senior mothers and serving them and taking them out and celebrating birthdays and just doing stuff with them, trying to keep them active within the community and just active within themselves. Also have the pleasure of being the director of women for the East Uganda mission station over in Uganda, Africa. That is my joy. I love, love, love going and serving over in Africa. In our mission station, we had the opportunity in February. I had the opportunity to teach and train our pastors and pastors' wives. We'll be going back again in August, and it's just a pleasure and an honor to be able to be a servant for the Lord. As a divorcee, as a single woman, my life is for Jesus. And I thank God for it. I thank God for the opportunity to serve him and serve him wholeheartedly. And I'm just excited about being a bad girl and being here to talk with you on tonight.
Well, we are excited to have you as part of the movement. Wow, so many different ways I could talk to you. And I have to just say, I've known Michelle, or sorry, District Missionary Timmons, and she is sister girl to me, but she has so many hats. And just to hear her go through some of the things that she does, I don't even know how she finds time. And she forgot to tell you guys that she's an avid traveler. She will find a beach in a heartbeat and be there
Yes, yes,
to just
yes.
unpack and unwind from all the many things that she does. So before we get into the bad girls, you mentioned that missions, and I think you said Uganda, one of your passions. Tell us how you got started in that and what you love most about missions work.
I absolutely love missions work. It was funny because I was actually serving. I'm a servant also as well, served with the national agency in our church, and I just served the executive leaders of our church. And one of the supervisors mentioned to me, she said, well, I'm going to Uganda. Did you say that you were a pastor at some point? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, oh, well, you can come on with me. You can come on over there and teach some of the pastors. You've been through it, so you're able to teach and share. And that was the start of me getting on the mission field and going out into another continent. And I started with her going to Africa. She's been going for 20 years. It was just a great opportunity to be able to be with her, allow her to share all that she's done. She's been over there the way the Lord led her. So the Lord allowed me and let me know, because I thought I would just go on one time and just, okay, it's fun and I'm coming back. And the Lord said, he'll make a way. I retired 2 years ago. And so my prayer to the Lord was, I want to be able to combine the church work that I do also with travel. So he said, say less. And from the time that I retired up until today, my feet have not stayed on the ground. So I give God praise for the mission work and the opportunity that he does. It's completely paid by myself. No one pays me to go there. It's a love that I have, and the Lord has made a way for me to go each and every time, and I'm grateful.
Amazing. I love it. So I imagine being on the missions field, and then we're going to get off missions, but I know it's such a passion for you. I imagine being on the missions field is kind of reframed some of your maybe original opinions about life and values and what's important and even ministry. Tell me some of the major things that you've learned about yourself and about ministry while ministering to people in Africa.
Well, I guess one of the most important and one of the things that stand out the most to me is the fact that they're so excited about Jesus. They're so excited for what God has given you. So anything that you have in your heart and your spirit that you can share with them about Jesus Christ, they're excited. I mean, they're hungry. They're excited to receive anything that you have. One of the key things that kind of brought light to me saying, we're such a privileged people and we don't realize how privileged we are. We went and we're just building this mission station. So we started out with 21 churches. We now have 31 churches, but the pastors didn't have Bibles. And so, to us, that sounds really strange. Like, okay, how are you pastoring without a Bible? But to them, they feel the call, they're receiving the call, and they're doing what they can, but they didn't actually have physical Bibles. So when we went in February, my partner, our mission director, I said to him, I said, we've got to get them Bibles. They don't have Bibles as pastors. If no one else in the church has a Bible, the pastor should have a Bible. So we went ahead and purchased Bibles for the pastors. And then I taught a class with the pastors' wives, and they didn't have Bibles either. And so, being a bold disruptive, no, the women are going to have Bibles too. We're not just going to have the men having Bibles. The pastors' wives need to have Bibles as well. So we bought them Bibles as well. So it's just some of the things that we take for granted that others don't even have an opportunity to have.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's put some good perspective on, like you said, the things that we take for granted in our everyday world. We see Bibles everywhere, including hotel rooms. Everywhere there's Bibles, we take it for granted that they're always going to be available. Thank you for sharing that story. That painted a
Yes.
good light on what you see. Listening to you talk, being a first lady, it's actually how I met you. It's one of my confidants during my time in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. And I thank you for your love and just embracing me and taking me in when I was there. But being a first lady and also being a pastor, I know that you understand the value and the magnitude of the role that is played by women in the church, even if we don't get credit or even if we don't get titles. Not that you're title driven, you understand how all of that works. So, for you, just hearing about the Bad Girls Movement and how we're dissecting these impactful women in the Bible, why do you think now is a good season for us to start learning about a woman's place and a woman's value to the Lord?
Well, I believe now more than ever is a great place because there's so much happening in our society. There's so much happening in the world. And women, just as back in the Bible time with Miriam and Deborah and the different ones, we've got to be able to be that voice that whether it be to help a man feel strong enough and powerful enough to do what they need to do, but to also bring other women along to be able to allow them to realize, hey, you can be bold, you can be disruptive, but you can also be used by God. And don't think that God put us here just for us to do nothing. God has so much purpose and plans for our lives. And a lot of time women, because they are silenced, because they are sometimes made to feel less than, that they don't feel as though they're important in the kingdom. They don't feel as though, they can make a difference, but we can actually make a difference. And it's not just with one another. Oftentimes we're making a difference with that man, whether it be your man child, whether it be a man on your job, whether it be that pastor or someone in the church, to encourage them, to uplift them, to, kind of give them a word. All right, that's not something good. You're not going to be able, you shouldn't be doing that. We can help them, and a lot of times keep them from going into destruction with our guidance, with our wisdom, with our cunningness, because we have to be cunning in order to be able to do some things, because a lot of our church hasn't changed much over the years. So a lot of times you have to be very cunning to be able to offer that advice, to be able to offer that guidance and assistance.
So this is a kind of a touchy subject, but it's very relevant. What would you say to a woman who is newer to the church and doesn't understand this? I got to wear what? I got to do what? I can't do this. I can't whatever. I have to speak this. I have to have this on my head. I can't wear sleeveless. Like, what would you say to someone who's new in their faith and trying to navigate, let's just say, the norms of church or religious culture?
I first and foremost, and I do this all the time, just be you. Just be you. There are a whole lot of things that people will damn you to hell, tell you, you're not saved, tell you you can't. Find out what you can do, because there's a lot of can'ts that you can't do. So start with the things that you can do. Realize that you being you, it's a process once you first get saved. So right away, I don't want you, even you. I thank God for your boldness now, uncovered and everything, and you feel free with that. But a lot of places you go, they would almost not even let you in the building. So you've got to understand places and processes of where you go, places that you may end up, even if you're not ministering, even if you're just going there as a guest. I remember in Florida, I went to an apostolic church and they had on the door, do not come in this place with pants on. So you've got to understand where you're going, coming in and going out, and understanding the people and the practices. But just be you. Just try to live by the Bible. All the other things, all the other policies and procedures and things that we put in place, a lot of those traditions are traditions of man. So follow the Bible. There's enough in there to try to keep up with. And if you stick to that, you'll never go wrong.
Great advice, great advice. Sometimes we get in those situations and we want to muffle our voice and quiet our voice, but now's not the time to do it. Now's the time for us to be bold and to be a bit disruptive. So, you have a very interesting character in this upcoming series of She Speaks. Tell us a little bit about your character. Don't give too much away, but tell us who you're presenting on and maybe a few key points about your character that you don't mind sharing today.
Awesome. I'm excited about my character. When I was given the character, I was like, oh, wow. And then I started thinking about the fact of, what do people mostly talk about Miriam, or what do they normally think or realize who she was, or what is she known for? And my take, I want to kind of get away from it. Yes, she was the tambourine girl. Yes, she played the tambourine. Yes, she did that. Yes, she watched her brother. Yes, she was there. But also there were a lot of key points that she had in her life. She was bold and she was a disruptive. So she's definitely one of the bad girls. And I like the fact that, you know, some people look at what happened to her or what God did, and it's like, okay, so God's going to damn you to hell when you do things wrong. Well, there is the wrath of God. So we've got to realize that if there are things that we do wrong, sometimes we have to suffer the wrath of God. Many times we may feel as though what we're doing is right. Many times we may consider, okay, well, I'm gossiping. She was gossiping. She was gossiping with her brother. She was gossiping, sharing information that she shouldn't have shared. Have you ever got caught up in that type of situation where you didn't really think anything was wrong and you were just like, well, girl, guess what? And then we have to realize that there are consequences to those things, because many times we may do, whether it be gossiping, whether it be just saying a little short something to somebody, that could affect someone else's life. So I believe that sometimes God allows things to happen and his wrath to come forth towards us, because he doesn't want us to continue to go down that road. He doesn't want us to continue to do things that are contrary to his word. She had a pivotal role. She was somebody that was very important. So even the little gossip could have began to be something bigger and bigger and bigger. And just like her, for our lives, we have pivotal roles. God has a purpose and a plan for us. We can't just do willy-nilly and do whatever and be like, well, girl, guess what? And before you know it, then you're telling somebody else that, then you're telling somebody else that. And before you know it, you didn't mean any harm, but you're gossiping. And you might be tearing someone else down if you're just sharing some other information, especially nowadays with social media. Just the fact that you clicked it and liked it, you're sharing information. And we don't think about that. We just look, or it looks like you viewed something. Folks can see all kinds of stuff on the internet. So you don't want your good to be evil spoken of, saying that you're taking part in something that could be gossip, that could be ridicule against someone else. Different people in Christendom now are coming up with situations. Our brother that right now is, possibly up for some charges. Is that something we should pray about, or is that something we should gossip about? And if we're gossiping or even repeating it, are you praying as much as you're gossiping? Are you praying as much as you're sharing? Are you praying as much as you are telling somebody else about it, or texting somebody else, like, girl, did you see this? Or sharing that video, or sharing that meme, or sharing that YouTube, girl, did you see this? Da, 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 da. This happened. Are we praying about it? We need to pray as much as possible now, even with our rulers in this world. Our president, there was a very, very different situation that happened and occurred. Did we continue to share the video? And I'm getting convicted even as we speaking, because I clicked on something that somebody did, and it was AI. They put somebody there was still eating while he was getting shot, and I clicked on it just to like it. But I'm still sharing something that's negative, and that's contrary to the Bible. The Bible says that we should pray for those rulers and our leaders that have rule over us.
Come on.
So did I pray? Or did I add to what was already being said? Was it funny at the time? But was that lifting him up? Was that praying for him? Was I doing the Bible? Conviction hit me right now. I wasn't doing the Bible. So the littlest thing can get us to a point where we're not doing what God has given us to do. And just like Miriam, we can receive the wrath of God for being contrary when we didn't really mean wrong, but it still could end up being something wrong. So we've got to be careful.
Powerful. And I hear you saying that to understand the impact of your voice, and your voice could be a click, your voice could be a frown, your voice could be a nod, understanding the impact of your voice. And that's a good take on Miriam. I'm excited to hear you unpack it. For those who don't know who Miriam is, you mentioned her brother. Her brother. Who is Miriam's brother?
Her brother Moses, Miriam had the blessed honor of being able to be integral of allowing her mother to be able to watch her own child. That story always just captivates me because it's like, one, I could not imagine having to worry about, I have a son, having to worry about that son being killed or something happening to him. But she was actually given the opportunity to not lose her son, but to actually be able to care for her son. And Miriam was integral in being able to make that happen. She was like, hey, guess what? I got somebody who can watch the baby. So she was that get it girl. Let's make it happen. All right, I got somebody. You need somebody? I got somebody. So many times we need to use our gifts and our talents for the good, that God may get the glory out of what we are doing or what we are saying. So in that point in time, she was able to use her gift for the good, and God got the glory out of that, of her life. But she still later received the wrath because of her mouth. Watch your mouth. Her voice was not used properly.
So there are consequences to not using your voice properly, and it's a slippery slope between accepting conviction or even rebuke and landing into shame. So, what would you say to a bad girl on the line or that's listening in that's sliding down that path towards shame? How would you help her to turn that around based on what you know about the God that we serve?
Yes, I can talk about based on I know, and as well as Miriam. You don't have to continue to slide down that way. No matter what you're doing, we are never at a point where we're lost. And you may get caught up in whether, be anything, any sins, because we always label sins. It could be gossip. It could be adultery. It could be fornication. And you say, well, I've been doing this for a long time and I'm just caught up in here. And now we done moved in and now I'm just doing it, doing it, doing. I can't stop at this point. You always have a point. God and his word told us that he'll always make a way for our escape. So even if you're in a situation where you feel as though, look, I can't get out of this situation, literally pray to God and ask him, God, okay, you said in your word, Lord, that you'll make a way for my escape. God, I don't see an escape out of this. I'm caught up in this situation. I'm continuing to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to stop doing this. God, show me how I can stop doing this. Show me how I can get out of this where I can walk according to your word and live according to what you would have me to do and fulfill my purpose and your purpose in my life. But we can ask God and he'll help us. But if we stay caught up in it and say, oh, I'm just going to keep doing this, there's no way out. I don't think I could ever stop doing this. We can if we want to. It's all about your own will. And if you ask God to help you, I guarantee you, I promise you, I'm a living witness. Ain't always lived right. Ain't always did everything right. But when I was out there, baby, the Lord said, okay, all right, that's enough. You've been out there long enough. You ready? And I wasn't ready right away. So I kept doing what I was doing. He said, okay. And the Lord, warning will come before destruction. He said, all right, you keep it up. That soul tie, that thing that you're doing, now. You running your mouth, all those things, it can stop, but you got to have a desire and a will to want to do it. And if you seek God and ask Him and pray and fast, God will give you the will and the ability to stop doing anything that's contrary to His word.
Well, that is Miriam, like I've never heard her before. I am so excited to hear you unpack the real story of Miriam on May 18th. So mark your calendars, May 18th. And I think it's the third or fourth speaker in the She Speaks series. Miriam by our own district missionary, Michelle Timmons. It's been a pleasure being with you tonight. Do you have any closing words of encouragement for the bad girls?
I just want to encourage them, continue to be bold, continue to be disruptive, do what God has called you to do. And even if you're not currently doing what God has called you to do, you still have a chance. You still have purpose, and God still has a promise on your life. Pray to God, fast, seek God, and ask Him, turn this situation around. I want to get back in line with you and with your word, and I want to do what you've called me to do. All of us bad girls have had a bad season, but you don't have to have it be forever. You can walk out of that season, be bold and disruptive, and do what God has called you to do.
We are so excited to have you as part of the Bad Girls movement. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining us tonight, Bad Girls. We'll see you soon. Until then, be bold, be authentic, and be disruptive.
Yes, yes.